Hello everyone, thank you for joining me again and welcome to any new viewers. This is To The Point English with Ben. I'm Ben. Now we need to talk about chunks. You may have heard other English teachers recommend learning vocabulary in chunks, so in pairs or groups of words, rather than learning the individual words. And I agree with that advice. I think it's a good way to learn vocabulary, because there are some words that just go together more commonly than other words. And native speakers just instinctively know these chunks of vocabulary. But for non-native speakers, for people learning English as a second language, it can be very difficult to know exactly which words go together. That's why I've made videos in the past on collocations. And today I have some more collocations for you. In fact, I have 10 verb noun collocations. So these are specific collocations where the first word is a verb and the second word is a noun. And I think you'll find these collocations particularly useful. They're pretty advanced, but we use them, they're used in real English, and they will be particularly useful if you're planning on taking a Cambridge English exam or any English exam. Okay, the first collocation I have for you today is to allay fears. So to allay fears. So allay is the verb, to allay, and fear or fears is the noun. And this simply means to calm or to reduce worries or concerns. So if somebody is worried or concerned about something, somebody else may want to allay their fears in order to calm them, to make them feel that it's okay. You don't have to be afraid, you don't have to worry, everything's going to be okay. So let's look at the example sentence. The CEO assured the employees that there would be no redundancies in order to allay their fears. So perhaps in this case there is some kind of rumor going around the company that there are going to be redundancies. So naturally the employees are worried. They're concerned about this. So the CEO in a speech or an email or some kind of communication wants to assure the employees that no, it's not true. There will be no redundancies. So he or she, the CEO, is allaying the employees' fears. And the second collocation I have for you today is shed tears, to shed tears. So the verb again here is to shed, and tears is the noun. So it could be singular, to shed a tear, or to shed tears. It's usually in the plural. And this simply means to cry. To cry, it could be you're shedding tears because you're very happy, or you're shedding tears because you're very sad. But to be honest, we don't usually use it in a literal sense. You know, if you see somebody crying, you don't say, oh, please don't shed tears. No, in that case, you would just say, please don't cry. But we use it in a more metaphorical or figurative sense, as you'll see in the example. Personally, I'm not going to shed any tears for Hugh. He deserved to be sacked for stealing the paper clips. So in this case, Hugh has been sacked or fired. So he's been dismissed from the company for stealing paper clips. And this person, the person speaking, does not feel sad for Hugh, does not feel sorry. This person actually agrees with the sacking of Hugh. They feel that he deserved to be sacked for stealing the paper clips. So they are not going to shed any tears for Hugh whatsoever. And the next collocation is to broach the subject. To broach the subject. And this means to start a discussion about something sensitive, so a sensitive issue. So the person you're going to talk to may find the discussion a bit uncomfortable, or maybe you're going to give them information they don't want to hear. Okay, so the example. At some point we're going to have to broach the subject of moving abroad with our parents. So in this case I'm thinking of a married couple perhaps who are planning to move to another country, to move abroad, and they haven't spoken to their parents about it yet. And they're going to have to broach the subject. They're going to have to start this difficult conversation, this sensitive conversation, because you would imagine the parents maybe not so happy or not so keen on the fact that their children are going to move to another country. And the next collocation is to pique interest, or we could also say to pique curiosity. They basically have the same meaning whether we use interest or curiosity. And this means to stimulate or to cause interest, or curiosity, depending on the word you use. So the example sentence, the first chapter manages to pique the reader's interest, and from then on the book is unputdownable. So I'm thinking of a book review in this case, maybe for the Cambridge English exams, when you may choose the part 2 task of writing a review. So the first chapter manages to pique the reader's interest. So it's to stimulate this interest. It gets them hooked a little bit. And then from then on, the book is unputdownable. So if you've seen my previous video on adjectives to describe books, unputdownable is a very common adjective that you'll see in book reviews. And the next collocation is quite similar in some ways to pique interest or curiosity, but with an important difference. And it is to whet your appetite, or to whet someone's appetite. And you'll notice that whet here, it's not wet as in the opposite of dry. No, it's W-H-T, which has a different meaning. But to whet someone's appetite means to increase someone's interest in something, usually by providing a short or a small sample. Okay, you're going to need the example for this one. The trailer is intriguing and succeeds in whetting the audience's appetite for the full film. Okay, so the trailer is intriguing. Obviously, this is a film trailer, and I deliberately chose this example because really that's the job, that's the whole purpose of film trailers, to whet the appetite of the audience. So this idea of stimulating or creating interest in something by giving a small sample. So you have an idea of what the film is going to be like, but you don't see the whole film, so it whets your appetite for the full film. And the next collocation is to blaze a trail, to blaze a trail. So the verb here is to blaze and trail is the noun. And this means to do something that has never been done before, and specifically so that other people can follow. You can almost imagine this collocation literally. It's being used figuratively here, but to blaze, a blaze is a strong fire. So to blaze a trail is like to clear a trail, create a path by burning it. So if you think of somebody doing something for the first time, they're creating this new path, and then other people can follow because the trail has been blazed. So the example sentence: we want the company to be a leader in the field and blaze a trail for AI technology. Okay, so this is quite common, a common use of this collocation. So the company wants to be a leader, so they want to be the first, they want to be innovative and create new products or new technologies, and then other companies will probably follow, but they want to be the first. So they're blazing the trail. It's something completely new that has never been done before. And the next one is to hold a grudge, or sometimes you may hear to bear a grudge. Hold a grudge and bear a grudge basically have the same meaning. And they both mean to continue to have bad feelings towards someone because of something that happened previously. Okay, so you have these bad feelings and you're holding on to them, this grudge, you're holding on to this grudge, even though the original cause of these bad feelings may have been in the past, maybe a long time ago, but you're still holding the grudge. So the example sentence: it's clear that Danny still holds a grudge against Susan, despite her apology for eating the last chocolate biscuit. So this is obviously unforgivable for Danny. He can't let it go. Susan, one day, once upon a time, maybe days or weeks or years ago, ate the last chocolate biscuit. That's, it's a terrible sin. So Danny still holds the grudge. She apologized, but it's not good enough for Danny. He can't let it go. He still holds a grudge. And the next collocation is to pay dividends, to pay dividends. And this means to get results at a later stage. So the idea is that you do something now and it pays dividends later. So you get the results later. So you don't get the immediate results, and you may think that you're not going to get any results, but it will pay dividends in the end. Okay, the example: exam preparation can be arduous, but it will pay dividends for your career in the long term. Okay, so all this effort and energy that you're putting into this arduous work of exam preparation is tough, right? Whether you're preparing for a Cambridge English exam or any exam, but it will pay dividends in the end, in the long term. And the next collocation is to take liberties, and this means to behave in an inappropriately familiar way. It's kind of disrespectful. So it could be that you're in a formal situation and you behave too informally, or maybe you disrespect somebody in a higher position in your company than you, or your teacher. You take liberties. You're not acting in an appropriate way. You're being a little bit too familiar. And the example is, some tourists take liberties when visiting foreign countries by walking around the cities in their swimming costumes. Have you seen that in your country? Especially in the hot places near the beach. Some tourists from certain countries may walk through the city centres, or maybe areas where it's not really appropriate, wearing very little, maybe topless or showing too much skin. And that could be considered taking liberties. You know, you can do that on the beach, but maybe not in the town or city centre. And the last collocation is to dispel myths, or to dispel a myth. And this means to clarify or to disprove a widely held false belief in something. So there are certain beliefs which people have, widely, around the world. Many people believe the same thing, but it's not true. It's false. And to dispel a myth means to disprove that, to show that it's not true. So the example sentence: I want to dispel the myth that adults can't learn new languages. So I think that's a commonly held belief, that adults can't learn new languages, or at least they find it very difficult to learn new languages. So yeah, I'm dispelling that myth. Okay, so those are your 10 collocations. Again, I hope you've been coming up with your own examples, or maybe you can go back and watch the video again and come up with your own examples. And if you want to learn some more collocations, check out this video here. And I'll see you very soon for another video.